And welcome everybody to the 2022 press conference at the Maple Hill Open, a Disc Golf Pro Tour playoff event, and actually the final playoff event right here at Maple Hill. Welcome, Steve Dodge. How are you doing today?
Zoe, I am doing fantastic. I can't imagine more things going more right. It's a perfect day.
Well, it's great to hear, especially getting into this event and even into this conversation. Steve, this is where the Disc Golf Pro Tour started, was born essentially. Let's just talk about that vision and that initial dream and where it all came from.
The same place it came from all of us in this room. We all love this sport and we want to share it. Everybody who has shared the sport with anybody understands what it is we're doing. We're sharing the sport with everybody. We're making it so the best players in the world can stand on a stage and show off to all the kids that want to do the exact same thing. That's why we're here. Absolutely. And 2016 being the inaugural Pro Tour, so many things happening, only 5 events that year. Look at where we're at today, and here we are at Maple Hill again. Talk about some of the positive growth or evolution that you've witnessed. First of all, I'll correct you. I'll say there were 6 events in the first year because we had 5 events plus the Tour Championship, which was held, like the event finished Saturday morning and the Tour Championship started Saturday afternoon. So I understand the confusion.
True.
But since you were there, I think you probably know. Yeah. Anyway, the growth has been ridiculous. And the investment by Todd Rainwater, Jeff, and crew has been the real reason that we've been able to succeed to this point. We built, from 2016 to 19, we built a foundation. We proved people love disc golf and will watch it. But realistically, 2 years and $2 million later, this is where we are. So thanks to them for taking what we envisioned and making it a reality.
Absolutely. And this is your event, if you will. You've got an incredible staff, a bunch of volunteers out here that have been here for years. Let's talk about the Maple Hill environment and how the courses and the people are this week.
I'm very happy you mentioned the staff, because as everybody knows, we have the best staff in the world. Every year I say that, and it's really interesting because every year I'm just like, oh boy, somebody's going to catch up. And then I watch our staff develop, and I'm just like, oh, they're never going to catch up because our staff keeps getting so much better. I keep pawning off things. You know, I pretend I have phone calls and all this, but I basically pawn off everything I do to all of these great staff. And I actually had somebody come tell me yesterday, he said, Steve, I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm a mid-level volunteer, mid-level management volunteer. I can't imagine a better place to be. So like he's in charge of like 8 or 10 people, and I'm in charge of 6 or 8 people, and it's just, they all work so well together. At this point, most of them have so much, I don't know what it's called, operational intelligence, like the knowledge and of how things work. And then someone new comes in. With COVID, we have tons of new people, and they come in and just get swallowed up in this happy family knowledge base that we have, and it all works great, and our staff is the best.
Absolutely. And we see it on UDisc. We hear it in other interviews from professionals, amateurs alike. This is one of the tours and the whole entire world of disc golf's favorite place to be. Talk about the environment, and how many years has it been this way?
Well, I assume it's been since 2004 when we started. This is our 19th year. It's a family farm, and when everybody comes here, they're family. Everybody in this room, in my opinion, is part of my family right now. In a week, maybe not so much. But right now, everybody's a part of our family, and we are very excited to welcome everybody onto this farm that we've loved for generations and share it with the world. We have people from all over the world coming here all year, and this week is sort of the culmination of every year for us.
Wonderful. I'm going to pass it off to Grant Zellner from the PDGA. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Zoe.
Hi, Steve. Just off to your right here on the windowsill is your obelisk, your award for being the 2009 PDGA Tournament Director of the Year. Now we're sitting here 13 years later. What surprises you about the present state of professional disc golf? And maybe more importantly, what doesn't surprise you about it?
Well, first of all, I'm shocked that I haven't won another one of those. So pitch to the PDGA. Come on, guys. Seriously, though, I'm actually shocked that I won one of those. 2009, I tied with UC in the vote. And I heard through the grapevine that there was a bunch of, we can't have a tie. And someone said, why not? So thank goodness we tied. And I'm very happy to be a TD of the Year for PDGA with UC. It couldn't have been a better honor. He's done amazing things for the sport. But I forgot the question.
What surprises you about the current state now, 13 years later, of disc golf, and what doesn't surprise you?
Very little surprises me. I was talking to a friend this morning, and I said, I totally believed from 2003 when I first moved to Maple Hill that we would get to this point. This is as far as my vision went, and I thought it would happen a lot faster. But this is exactly where my vision went. I don't know what comes next. Do we just keep growing? Do we become 4 different sports? I don't know what happens. But this is as far as I saw it, and I'm really excited. And I'm not surprised at all that so many people love watching this sport, because the way the disc flies is thrilling. It's so amazing.
As we wind down now the 2022 season with this, the last playoff event, when you look back and analyze things for this year, as I'm sure you do after every year, what will stand out as the highlights for 2022 on the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
Well, speaking personally, the highlight for me is getting to watch DGN every weekend and be relaxed. So I will admit that when I started the tour, I told my girlfriend at the time, I really just want to be old, sit on a beach, and watch disc golf on TV. I didn't quite picture how the TV and the beach were going to work together, but we'll figure it out. But and life has happened in such a way that we are there now, except the beach, which can happen at any time. So I'm just really excited that we've gotten to this point, and I can't wait to see what happens. I feel like I missed your question again, but I don't.
Similar question as you look back and analyze 2022 and of course all the years in the past. Are there already tweaks and ideas in the works that we'll start to see in 2023? Are there any of those that you can reveal? But if not, just are there some new ideas already in the works? I
will say already that 2023 will be our 20th anniversary. And if I was turning 20 and I was a tournament, I'd want something special.
Aha. All right. Well, thanks, Steve Dodge of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We'll be right back here on the Disc Golf Network.
And we are back here on the Disc Golf Network, joined by Adam Hemmes. Adam, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. I'm at Maple Hill.
That's probably what every single person will say because this is such a special piece of property. Adam, you're in 17th place currently in the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings, and you are the defending champion of this event. What does that do coming into this weekend?
It feels great. I mean, returning to Maple Hill after that insane win last year, the fact that happened is still crazy. I can't believe it. Yeah, it feels good. Obviously, I'm in 17th for tour points. Not as good as last year. My season's been a little slower than last year. I just had a great weekend at Smugs for GMC. I'm looking to build off that and take it straight into Maple Hill.
And that was the next thing I was going to bring up is last week, 8th place is an incredible finish at GMC and 4th place back at D-Glow. Do you feel like you're peaking, if you will, at the right time of the season?
Yeah, end of the season is always great to start playing good and find that confidence on the course, which happened just last week. I kept it cool and collected on the course and tried to not let any easy shots slip away, and I executed on a lot of good par saves and made a bunch of good birdies. So super pumped to bring it back in here. The game's still feeling strong. Practice round today went smooth, so looking forward to it.
Sounding like you're in a confident place, knowing you're just one spot out of that top 16, how important is it to you to be able to get into that top 16? And then will that change your aggressive or maybe even conservative play?
I definitely want to be in the top 16. I think if I just take the same mentality and game plan into this week as I did last week, I think good things will happen. So we're just going to go from there. We're going to take it one shot at a time, one hole at a time, and yeah, it's going to be good.
All right, well, good luck defending that title. Here's Grant Zellner.
Hey, Adam. Roller coaster season so far, some top 10s, a couple of finishes deep in the field. As of this point of the season, where are you feeling the most confident in your game? Does it have to do with the style of course? Does it have to do with certain types of shot shapes? And will you be able to lean on those this week?
My putt definitely showed up last week, and when my putt's good, it usually corresponds into my drives, and I'm more confident off the tee. So yeah, I'm seeing results off the tee, which is great because that's usually where I struggle. Throwing the driver has been tough for me in the past and a little bit this season as well. Yeah.
Simple question, but maybe complex to try to answer. Why was it that you won here last year? What was the aspect that helped you pull out the victory? Are you going to be able to rely on the same game plan this year, or do you have to tweak some things?
I don't think I have to tweak anything. Just like I said last week is, I think, perfect. I think that was the same winning mentality that I needed to find coming into these last few events of the season. And so, yeah, just the same mentality, one hole at a time, one shot at a time. That's kind of my motto right now. So,
your 22 under par last year in 3 rounds at Maple Hill was enough to win. This year, 4 rounds. So logically, that would mean something like 28 or 29 under par should put you in the hunt. Does that sound right to you, or do you think it's going to take something else?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I think close to 30 under par is going to take it down this week. Obviously, we have some inclement weather coming tomorrow, so we don't need to shoot super hot tomorrow to have a start on a lead or a feature card. Yeah.
Thanks, Adam. Brian Earhart up next.
Hello, Adam.
Hey, Brian.
Question for you. So you win last year, and you're a player that a lot of people have talked about having a very rounded skill set. Backhand, forehand, big long putt. You have the push putt, spin putt. Young players always seem to be expanding their skill set. They're always trying to learn how to golf better. You win a tournament last year, and your skill set is some certain way. Mm-hmm. You come back here and you stand on these tee pads, virtually unchanged except for maybe hole 12 and hole 1. Are you seeing the game any differently from a skill set standpoint or maybe a shot selection standpoint?
Not particularly. I'm throwing pretty much the same discs. I think there's like maybe 4 or 5 discs in my bag that are the exact same discs from last season, or that I played with and won this tournament last year with. So yeah, just trying to recreate the same lines. The holes, obviously only 2 hole changes, and they're not that significant of changes. So I'm still throwing the same disc off of those tees. But yeah, a lot of controlled fairway drivers with the new Athena, the Onyx. I get to throw the Buzz out here a lot, and then obviously the touch zone to navigate my par saves through the woods is ideal. So pretty much the same stuff, and looking forward to it.
So one last question. It's about that change on hole 12. I know you said it's not that significant of a change, but I stood on the tee pad today, and it definitely changes the line that's necessary to get way up the fairway.
Yep.
Do you like the change, kind of forcing the players to stay more on top of the hill for that
Yes.
second shot?
Yep, I think it's a great change. Obviously, the big arms can get down to the bottom of the hill and almost have a jump putt look at the birdie. So it was a little soft for the big arms, and I think now those big arms, because you have to a good shot is still, I think there will be a couple drives that will get over that lip and get over the hill. I actually just put one over the ridge.
Wow.
Just now. So there's definitely going to be some, but for the most part, I think the hole will average out a little higher.
To give spectators and fans watching some context, the new hole 12's tee shot, how far is it really going to take to get a drive down the hill? How far do you think that's playing?
I think it's probably like 530, 540, and it's got to be a direct hit. You got to hit. It's got to be thrown hard. If you get the nose up at all, it's not getting there. The shot I just threw on it was penetrated low, flipping, and driven. So that's what it's going to take, and I think the big arms will be able to do that no problem. But for the most part, you're going to see people land in the middle of the fairway and then have the difficult shot down, and keeping it low is really tricky.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
And we are back, joined by KATRINA Allen. Hi, Kat.
Hi.
How are you this afternoon?
Pretty good, thank you.
All right, you are in third place in the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings, and you're the defending champion of this event last year by a commanding 7-shot victory. Let's relive that moment and how last year's event really was going to give you a good momentum for this weekend.
Yeah, I guess just remembering how this place can be brutal, and I felt like last year I just kind of rolled with the punches and let the birdies come when they did and didn't really get too ahead of myself or stay behind. So definitely think it was my mindset and consistent golf for sure.
And you've been to this event so many years,
Yeah.
so much experience out on that course actually is a huge leg up to some of the newer competitors that we're seeing place and take podium spots on the tour this year. With all of that experience, I would like to hear, what is KATRINA Allen focused on at this time? You have all of the experience of a two-time world champion, a champion of so many events, and this one last year. What is the focus right now to get back into the winning streak?
I guess, getting back into the winning streak, man, that would be great. I just been playing golf, I think, for a very long time and just in a little slump, and just trying to, as crazy as it sounds, enjoy the slump, see what I can learn, see what my game's trying to show me, and yeah, I mean, I think what I've learned is that I haven't been throwing the disc as well as I'd like. Been studying some film, and I'm actually just going to, even though the next 3 weeks could be really, really rough, just enjoy the process and see maybe what a new throw and, just this, like I think back to my putt a couple years ago where I really struggled, and now I feel extremely confident on the putting green, and man, imagine the power of those two coming back. So like I said, just going to enjoy this journey of, tweaking the throw and seeing where that leads me, and just, as frustrating as it is, enjoy
No,
it.
I appreciate you sharing it that way, because it's important for anyone out there that is trying to take their game to the next level to hear where experience, where the challenges arise and where they bring you to. And so hearing about where your feelings are currently, to just accept the moments and to move on, that's actually, to me, what it is going to take. So good luck to you this weekend as I pass it off to Grant.
Hi, Kat. I want to dig into that just a little bit more, because I'm curious, when it comes to a pro, always striving to improve your game. There are things that you can work on between events in just the 3 or 4 days between events. And then there are things that you probably have to mentally think, you know what, I'm just going to have to wait till the off season.
For sure.
Can you take us a little bit inside what you're able to work on between events and what you maybe already are thinking about for November, December, January?
Yeah, so we were just in a practice round, we were talking more about, like, ideally I would love to just like scratch it, start from scratch, but like you said, that could be that could be really rough for the last 3 weeks. So just trying to tweak, I think, is a better word. Focus on a few things I can do to maybe bring some improvements for the next few weeks. And then I will actually be taking a break, at least a month or two off. We just talked today with Macbeth, maybe flying down and enjoying some Jacksonville weather and, some working on some form and things like that. And then, you guys know me. I'll be seeing what I can do in the off season to be back on top.
One of the things that often gets overlooked when it comes to the success of a pro is what goes on between the ears.
Yeah.
The fact that you can look at your game on a given day and realize a shot's not working and make decisions to work around that problem.
Yeah.
Are you finding that you're doing that right now, and are you satisfied with the ways that you're able to attack the course anyway?
Yes and no. I think the best way I could put it, as I was talking to Austin, and I'm like, what I've loved about disc golf, because I would say I'm the strongest putter I've ever been right now, is I fell in love with the flight of the disc, like taking a flippy disc and throwing it on hyzer, taking an overstable disc and forcing it over, stalling the disc, just all the different angles, and that's something I love. And right now, where my form is, I can't execute what I know, like that feeling, and so it's not the most fun process right now, and no, I don't think I'm managing as well as I could on course, but that's something when I came to practice here was like, what shots are working, what's my highest percentage, and even though it doesn't feel like my authentic throw or my true swing or whatever you want to say, I'm just trying to focus on that my up shots and sidearm and putting feels great, and just try to get to November, if you will, or December.
Well done. Well, best of luck this week, Kat. Here's Brian Earhart.
Thank you.
Just a couple quick questions for you,
Okay.
Kat. made a post on Instagram saying, I'm evaluating both my physical and mental game and look forward to the challenge it will take to get me back to playing great golf again. I know you're a big fan of reading and studying, and especially when it comes to sports psychology and whatnot. Are you reading anything currently when you evaluate your mental game?
Not right now, to be 100% honest. No, just knowing that I think, you know, like I talked with Zoe, and just like accepting where I am and trying to just not, I think what's happened the last few weeks is I've just been so frustrated with not being able to execute the shot that I want to. And, you know, there's a difference when your form feels great, but you're a little off and you're like, it's okay, it's just a bad day. But when you know there's something mechanically wrong and you know how to fix it, but it's not working, and, you know, we only have 3 more weeks and this probably isn't the time to work on it, but I want it to be better because, like I said, I just feel so great on the green and on my approach shots. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely have some things I go back to with Bob Rutella and people like David Goggins and stuff. Kind of just like accept and move on is really what I'm going to try to take the next 3 weeks, and just know the off season is near, and it'll be fun to, I don't know, like I said, if my putt can grow that much, I'm really excited to see what I can do with my throw.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
good luck this week and enjoy.
Thank you.
And with that said, we are going to throw it to commercial break. We'll be back in a little bit.
Thank you.
And we are joined back here on the Disc Golf Network with Ricky Wysocki. Ricky, how are you doing today?
Doing great. I got to take a day off and soak in the wind after Vermont and have some maple creamies. That was something I said that I wanted to do after if I end up winning, and I did, and got to eat one of those and have a nice breakfast in Vermont, and then head over here to Massachusetts and start practicing at Maple here on Tuesday.
What a nice way to celebrate the victory, and in serious Vermont style. To get a maple creamy or to miss getting one would be a serious miss.
Yeah.
So congratulations on the Green Mountain Championships, and what a dramatic win. Coming down into those last 5 holes, and especially the last hole, can you talk about that experience for you, especially being the first playoff event?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for me, there was a lot of pressure on me. Anytime you go into a tournament with the lead, the pressure's always on you because you're in the driver's seat. You can control the tournament, and the narrative is, it was mine to lose, and so that comes with a lot of pressure, and it's something I love. I love the pressure. I feel like I play well when I'm on lead cards and I'm near the lead. That's where I feel like I'm at my best, and so that's something I feel like I strive to put myself in that position because I can capitalize and take advantage of those situations.
Yeah, it is exciting to talk about what that pressure does and how it motivates us or helps us to crumble. And you came out on top. This is the peak and the final stretch in the season, and it seems as though your game is peaking. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel great. I mean, I think that last week was the first time I really didn't have any injuries going on. No shoulders, no knees. Flared up, and I think that for me that's the biggest thing is just take care of my body, and that's why you always hear me talk about that, because if my body's healthy, then I can be the best player in the world, and I think that's really the most important thing for me is just keep my body healthy, and then everything else will fall into place. And so that's why I spend so much time on optimizing my health and wellness.
All right, and one of my final questions for you, Ricky, is you've been here maybe one of the longest. I'd say you're one of the most experienced and seasoned players at Maple Hill. What are some of your favorite memories or even shots that you can remember out on the course? I mean, there's a lot of things that happen here in the Sap House and afterwards, but what is it about this place that's so special for you?
It's this. I mean, the course is just, it's so challenging. I think you hear us say that about a lot of courses, but I mean, the course it's so fair, but yet so challenging. Which it's got the perfect mix of risk reward on almost every hole. And you have to work hard for every birdie. Even when you throw a good drive, you're still more than likely putting at the water and still have to make that 20 or 30 foot putt at the water or at the OB. So there's trouble looming around every corner. So it just makes you have to focus that much more on every single shot. And I think that's why this title is so well respected in the disc golf community, is because the course is just so challenging. And as a player that goes out and plays year in and year out, you really respect the winners that win here.
Wow, thank you for sharing that so much, Ricky. I'm going to pass it off to Grant.
Thank you.
Hey, Ricky, I want to dig into the topic of health and injury just a little bit more. At this stage of a season, very near the end, is it harder and harder week in and week out to stay healthy, or has it become a year-round process for you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question because, we do a lot of off-season work, and obviously we work with Disc Golf Strong and Seth for in-season stuff, and that's what we put the time and effort and work into to being healthy and trying to optimize the body and have it ready for a whole long season, not just one event here or there. And so I think we, as athletes now, we have routines that we go through, that stretching routines before every round. And, for me, it's ice baths and eating healthy. So there's multiple different facets that goes into it that allows me to feel healthy, throughout a whole season. And I think that that's something where that's going to become more and more prevalent within the top players.
Does the thought of injuring yourself or exacerbating an existing injury, does that ever come to mind in the middle of your round in terms of maybe deciding not to throw a shot that you otherwise would because you're afraid it might injure you or cause a flare-up, and so it forces a different strategy?
Yeah, no, that's also a great question, because I think a lot of the practice and toll that we put on our body is actually in practice rounds, because when you're playing at the top level, you're having to play one, maybe two practice rounds every day before, Monday through Wednesday or Thursday, depending on when the tournament starts. So you're throwing 1 or 2 or 3 drives on every hole, 3 or 4 upshots to dial in the wind, dial in the angle of the green, and how fast discs are skipping, and all the different variables that we get thrown at out here on the Pro Tour. So I think that's where most of the wear and tear on the body comes from, is practice rounds. And so if you can limit the amount of practice rounds, because that's where we're throwing the most shots. Tournaments is just you go out there and throw 1 shot. Practice rounds, almost every pro is throwing multiple shots to dial in the holes, and I think that's where the over repetition and overuse injuries come from.
Let's take it back to the course now. You've had a very successful year overall. Had a couple of weeks just here and there where you performed a little bit lower than your typical standard. When that happens, is it just a fluke of the averages coming in, or is there a particular thing that you can look at during those weeks that you say, yeah, that was a little off, I take care of it, and I move on? What is it that typically causes you to stumble, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, no, I think that's golf. That's disc golf. I mean, as much as, if you're the best player in the world, I mean, there's times where you're going to finish outside the top 10, and obviously we try to, salvage events to where maybe your game doesn't feel right, your putt feels off, so you may, try to salvage a 6th or 5th place to, keep the points going and keep your, status on, trying to keep a top 10 streak or whatever it may be. But there's, lots of great players now. And so it's, if you're off, there's other players that won't be off that week and are going to, shine. So it just, there's, as a top player, there's things that we're always working on. No matter how good you are, you're always tweaking things. You're always, and sometimes your drive, your swing, your putt maybe it just doesn't come out of your hand like you want it. And, it's hard to make that adjustment in the tournament. You have to have a week of practice to really adjust it. So that kind of stuff happens. And it's just, that's part of being a professional, is finding ways to fight through it and not letting it kill your confidence.
19 under par last year in 3 rounds, good for second. The year before that, 19 under par in 3 rounds, good for second. This year, 4 rounds. What's it going to take to come out with a victory?
I'm saying mid-20s. I think 25 to 27. I think that's going to be the winning score. I think that if it's just normal conditions and maybe, under 10 miles an hour, not too much rain, you add a rain round in there, it may be, 20 to 22. So that's my prediction. We'll see what happens.
Appreciate you, Ricky. Here's Brian Earhart.
Thank you.
Hello, Ricky. A couple questions for you. You mentioned to me at GMC that you feel like you are catching a second wind, and you feel like mentally you are as focused as you've ever been. A lot of players at this point in the year are fried, and it's just inevitable. You've seen it year after year. There's a group of players that start the season so well, Worlds hits, and they go downhill after that. I guess my first question is, have you ever felt that? And then how do you think you can beat it? How have you beaten it?
That's such a great question, and it's, part of the, we have a long season, and there's so many events, and, every event's big now. I mean, there's eyes and media and spectators and, tour standing points, sponsor money and contracts. So there's so much that goes into it that week in and week out you have to be on mentally, physically, to be the best you can be, whoever you are. And I think that that's something to where that's dynamic has changed in the sport for sure. And, lots of players are, the pressure has been on them all season, and whether they performed how they wanted to or not, that pressure stays on them. And if you're playing good, that pressure is still on you because you have to continue playing good. Or if you're playing bad, that pressure's on you to have a good event to kind of squash the, hey, so-and-so hasn't played so well. He needs a good performance. So, as a professional athlete, the pressure is going to be on you, and the spotlight's going to be on you, for the good and for the bad. And I think that that's something to where, it goes, the mental burnout is a real thing, and, it can grind at you, and there's, players that really find out maybe they're not meant out to be out on tour, and I'm not calling out any players, but I've been on tour long enough to see that, like, you can snap mentally and really let it break you, and then it starts affecting your physical ability. Mm-hmm. And, it's really just manifesting from your mental side, but it rolls over into your physical side and your form.
Well, fantastic. Thank you. And good luck this week. And with that said, we're going to throw it to commercial break. We'll be back in just a few.
Thanks, guys.
And we are back here on the Disc Golf Network, joined by the lovely KONA Panis. KONA, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
It's excellent being back here at Maple Hill, a place you've been very many times, a lot of good memories and experience, and you took second place at this event last year. So in the tour standings, getting right into it, you're in 21st place currently. And how important is it to you getting into that top 20, and where's the confidence level at being at this event, this course that you play so well at?
You know, it's funny. I totally forgot I took second last year until we got to hole 18 on our practice round yesterday, and the car mates I was playing with were like, I took like 20th. It wasn't a great year, and I was like, I took second last year, you know. So, you know, compared to last year, I'm definitely not playing how I'd like, and it's different, but I have no expectations. My dad's flying in. He's going to caddy for me this week, and so going to keep the vibes good.
Very cool. It's always nice to have that kind of support, and having your dad, who's been a huge portion of, or the majority of your disc golf career, on the bag. That sounds like it'll be good. And KONA, I have to just say, thinking back to last year's game plan and what it took to get into that second place, will you be thinking about those landing zones and doing about the same kind of a practice plan or attack plan?
You know, I have a whole new bag of discs, so the game is definitely different. I'm throwing a lot more fairways where I was throwing like drivers last year, so having a ton of glide with my new bag has been a lot of fun. But, you know, I'm not really too focused on, you know, crazy landing zones. I'm just trying to play my game and have some fun out there, so.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and we want to send you the best vibes and remember that second place from last year going into it at this final DGPT playoff event.
Thank you.
Hi, KONA. It seems like it's been forever since I had you on PDGA radio back in January. It's been a long season. You've been very candid about where you're feeling strong in your game and where you felt like you've struggled. When it comes into this part of the season with just a few events to go, where are you feeling the most consistent and the most confident, and where can you lean on those things during the course of your rounds this week?
Yeah, you know, for me, it's always the getting off the tee that I'm really comfortable with. So lacing the lines, throwing my Mavericks, and you know, my truths, trusting those in the woods, and hitting those lines is going to be very important this week.
This topic has come up with several players already today. A few events left, but also a very long and, frankly, an off-season that lots are looking forward to because of the rest aspects and other aspects. Are you already beginning to put plans together in terms of what you're going to be doing in November, December, and beyond?
Yeah, so I've actually personally started my off-season training now. I've started going to a mindfulness coach. It's like a therapist, and you know, when it comes to disc golf, you don't think someone would need something like that, but day in and day out, when it's supposed to be your career and it's starting to affect not only on the course but off the course, it's very important. So started doing that, and I think that's going to be very beneficial to my next season.
What do you think that says in terms of where this game has come, that now in 2022 our professional athletes are going to the same types of coaches and the same types of other support staff that people in other sports have been using for decades now? What do you think that says about the state of disc golf and its future?
I think it shows the growth, but I also think it shows the amount of pressure that it's taking on our athletes. You know, we're playing day in, day out. We now have competitors that are insanely good. The FPO division is amazing to watch nowadays. It's been a lot of fun watching KRISTIN Tattar take down some wins, and, you know, PAIGE Pierce still battling at the top as well. And yeah, I think it just goes to show that the competition's here to stay.
Candid comments. Thank you very much, KONA. Here's Brian.
Hello, KONA. So talk more about this mindfulness coach. Talk about, you know, obviously it's sports psychology focused. It's focused on your career, which I think is incredible. I think more players could benefit from something like that. How many sessions have you gone through? And I'm just curious, you know, as comfortable as you are sharing, are there any quick lessons that you've learned or maybe goals that you have now written for yourself?
So I've gone to around 3 sessions now. I started just last Monday. And it was Brent Oliver now. If you want to reach out, please do. He's awesome, and he's actually a disc golfer. That's how he found me. He saw during Ledgestone that I was reaching out, looking for someone to help me, and he was the first one, and he has been amazing. I had a complete, I don't know if you want to call it breakdown, meltdown, I don't know, last week at Brewster, that first round. and I just lost it. Couldn't control my feelings, couldn't control my disc, and I just couldn't control myself. So he's been amazing, and I've actually already recommended him to 4 other professional disc golfers who have been struggling. So.
Fantastic. Well, then let's look at this course and let's look at this week. You said you're going to play your game. What is your game this year? What are your strengths? What are you going to use to your advantage on this track? You said you're throwing more fairways than you used to because you have a new company that you're throwing. What is KONA Panis' game, and what are you doing well?
Yeah, off the tee, throwing the disc really well. My fairways have been so comfortable. My Mavericks are just dead straight through those woods. Hyzer flips have been. Forehand has come back into play. I haven't thrown them a lot this year, but now that we're back in the woods, I'm really enjoying them. And then, just leaning on my Ricky Wysocki slammer a lot with those forehands, and just trying to stay as confident as I can.
Fantastic. Well, good luck this week, Kona. And with that said, we're going to throw it to a quick break. We'll be right back.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome back to the Disc Golf Network. We are joined by Simon Lizotte. And Simon, welcome back home.
Welcome home. So stoked. Last year I missed it because I was in Canada trapped because of COVID travel reasons. So I'm glad I'm in the right spot.
Thank you for actually kicking it off right there. I was going to bring it up. It's so important that we would have you as part of this event because we did miss you last year. And speaking, it's Maple Hill. It is your home course. Speak to those feelings and what it means for you to be here this year.
Yeah, I think Maple has a special place in a lot of the touring pros' hearts. And obviously for me, I've been here for almost 5 years now, which is pretty crazy to say. I bought my house almost just down the street here 2 years ago. So I honestly don't come here as much as I would like to, because when I'm home, this place is a Christmas tree farm and doing business for the Christmas season. So yeah, I come here. I try to be here once a week, maybe every other week, but the vibes here are just special. Everyone knows it that's been here, and I'm just excited to play here. Feels like my hometown almost, but I'm actually still German, kind of.
And thank you for bringing that up as well, because we've got two home places or home territories, and your life being built here. So many memories at this course and during this competition. Can you speak to some of your favorite aspects of what Maple Hill Disc Golf Course brings to the tour and to your game?
Well, Maple Hill is, if you play the pro layout, the gold layout, it's one of the toughest courses physically and mentally that we play all year on tour. I never play it for exactly that reason. So, I mean, I kind of have a home advantage because I live right down the street. I have my own house and my bed. My family is here, so everything's comfortable in that sense. And I come out here all the time playing the other layouts. I think there's 5 or 6 different layouts here. So this is like a disc golf complex. On the weekends, they have food trucks now, and there's the pro shop just got renovated and is awesome now too. So it's just a full-on disc golf experience, and it's worth, I mean, it's pay to play, of course. It's a private property, but it's so worth every penny to come out here and experience, I would say, one of the top 3 disc golf courses we have on this planet. So it's really cool to live here, and every single layout on this course is unique and fun and special in its own way. But Golds is just a mental, physical battle, so I'm ready for that this week.
And thanks for sharing that it's actually not the course that you would choose to play for fun because of its difficulty level.
Never. For fun, I've played it maybe once or twice, ever in 5 years. So the layout is so challenging, which for me is not fun in disc golf. For me, fun doesn't mean the trickiest, longest, craziest holes. For me, fun is grabbing my mids and my putters and running aces and just getting birdies. For me, that's fun.
Well, and thank you for sharing on that. As we wind down, and this is the final playoff event, how do you feel about this new playoff format? I mean, we're talking about fun and things that get you excited as a touring pro in this whole entire sport. How do you feel about this playoff format?
I can't really comment because I don't know much about it. I show up and play. I don't really know what it means. I think there's extra points or something. But I'm happy with where I'm standing, so I don't really know what's going on.
Well, that's real. Thank you for sharing. Last question. This is a place notoriously that is just filled with games and competition off of the course. We're sitting in the house that actually hosts most of that. Who's the best ping pong player on tour?
Ping pong? Oh my God. Nice. There's a ping pong table over there. I think the only person that comes to mind is James Conrad. I don't know. Paige, is James the best? Probably. He's one of the best.
Thank you, Simon. Here's Grant from the PDGA.
Simon, it feels like we've asked you just about everything more than once over the course of the season, so here's something a little bit different. Yesterday in Boston, I ran into a tourist from Germany.
My brother was there yesterday. Was it him?
I don't believe it was your brother. We did start to talk about why we were in the area, and disc golf came up, and because he's from Germany, you came up. And after a quick Google search, he realized that he had heard of you and that he knew a little something about this game, disc golf. So that being said, you're based in the U.S. now. You still do business in Europe. Can you speak to our viewers about what the state of the game is right now in Europe and how the game is growing globally?
Yeah, well, I don't really do business in Europe at all anymore. I'm like completely out of Germany legally and officially. So I don't really know too much about it. I haven't played in Germany, I think, wow, it must be like 6 or 7 years now. And as far as I know, the main problem in Germany and other like Western European countries is that there's so little room and so many people that the nature and the parks that they have are so busy or like protected by law that putting in courses is the main struggle. For me growing up way back in the early 2000s, I didn't have a home course for like the first 10 years of me playing disc golf. We were throwing onto trees, trash cans, anything that we could hit with a Frisbee was our basket. So as far as I know, that's still the main struggle, is getting in courses. And without courses, it's just hard to make a sport seem legit and fun and available to the general public. And I think that's why Scandinavia is doing very well with disc golf, is because they have less people and more land available.
So we come from that background, playing and hitting anything you can find as a target, to now being at one of the most pristine courses in the world. I've held off asking anyone this until you, because it's your home course. What can you tell us, even in its smallest detail, about any tweaks to the course this year compared to years past? I'm talking about tweaks to OB lines or anything else. What can you tell us?
Wow. Good question. I've been so busy traveling, I haven't been here much, and Steve always has his little things he does here and there. The only thing I noticed, I think, is hole 1's tee pad is bigger, and they have a nice little gallery set up there. Is there anything else new? There's a couple of holes that are longer. I think hole 11 is like 30 feet longer. 12. Or 12, yeah. And 17, was it like that last year already? I don't know. I don't pay attention enough for those kind of questions, sorry.
Well, thanks for your time just the same. Simon, here's Brian.
Well, Simon, so you say you don't pay much attention to this course. You tend to say that at a lot of these tournaments that you've played extremely well at this year, and you have pretty decent amount of wins this year. Coming to this course, do you feel capable physically, mentally, to take down yet another victory this week?
Well, physically, yes. Mentally, it's for me always a bit tricky. In my last 2 tournaments, GMC, I missed the cut by 2 or 3 strokes, which was crazy. That was like the hardest cut in disc golf history to make, I think, because I didn't play so bad. I played kind of bad, but it wasn't like missed the cut bad. And Worlds was kind of lackluster as well. Like, things were just not going my way. And my mental game has always been my biggest struggle, besides my injuries, of course. But right now, physically, I'm better than ever. I feel confident is not the problem. My problem is a bit of laziness sometimes mentally, and almost, I don't want to say getting bored during rounds, but kind of like being in the moment and wanting the win and wanting to perform and play well. Like that's really what I feel like that's what I'm missing. So hopefully the crowd shows up this week and pushes me to my best.
So is that what you're saying when you say you don't really pay attention to a lot of stuff, you don't really care? Is there a way to feel that way and then also feel focused on the victory?
I think what I did a handful of years ago is I've been playing disc golf for 20 plus years, ever since I can remember. And disc golf can be so frustrating because you're never perfect. You never can achieve perfection. Unless you're Paul sometimes, but it's the way I mentally tricked myself into not getting like super frustrated and angry all the time, because I hate that look. I used to have like real meltdowns on courses back when I was younger, and I just hated that. So I had to like kind of trick myself to stop doing that by caring less in a way, or just at least telling myself that, oh, whatever. You're healthy, you're happy, doesn't matter. But there's also 2 sides to that, where if you go too far to that side, it like just looks like you're not even trying and you stop caring. That's obviously also not what I want to do. But that's better than getting extremely angry. So I got to just find the balance. And sometimes I do it really well, and sometimes I fail and get frustrated, and then I talk myself into not caring, and then it all spirals downhill. Every tournament is different, and I try really hard before rounds to get in the right mindset. Sometimes I do it well, sometimes I don't, but that's just part of the game.
That was fantastic insight. Thank you.
Yeah.
And good luck this week, Simon. And with that said, we're going to throw it to a quick break. We'll be right back in a few.
Vote for me. $1 million shot. Thanks.
And rejoining us now, we have Paige Pierce. Paige, how does it feel to be back at Maple Hill?
It feels great. I love it here. Absolutely love it here. The shots are so fun. Being in the SAP house, it's always a good time. And yeah, it's just good vibes here.
Well, we've heard in multiple interviews, podcasts over the years that Maple Hill really is truly one of your favorite courses to play and one of your favorite environments to be in. So coming into this final playoff event, what does that do for the mindset and just the overall feel?
Yeah, honestly, it is my favorite course to play. It's just something special about coming here. I think maybe because it was one of my first big events to come to where after the round, people don't just disperse and go back to their hotel or Airbnb. Everyone hangs out, and there's just like it reminded me of learning to play disc golf, and you would just be hanging out with like a 50-year-old man and a 12-year-old boy and 40-year-old woman, and it's just like such an unlikely bunch, and I feel like you get every type of person out here at Maple Hill, and everyone's just like sharing the love of the sport. So yeah, I think that it's just contagious, all the smiles around, and everybody's just so happy. It's just a beautiful place to be.
Thank you for sharing about that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the environment, but talking about the course and what we can expect to hear, kind of thinking about your game plan, we're wondering, are you going to be particularly aggressive or conservative with this being a playoff event?
You know, I just was in here for Simon's interview and heard his, and he kind of mentioned how like he had to trick himself into not caring so much to avoid like anger or frustration or any kind of like outburst of emotion. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is like I'm enjoying being happy, so I'm trying not to care so much about my standings or my placement at a tournament. You know, I barely made the cut last week, but I was just happy just to be playing in Vermont. And I think pressure is something that does well for me. When I have pressure, I play well. For example, like I knew I had to get one of the birdies on either 17 or 18 to just make the cut. And before that moment, I was just happy, having a great round, playing with good friends, laughing. And then I realized, oh, shoot, you know, like there's some pressure and I have to get one of these birdies. And I was able to execute. But so I think that's kind of been my struggle lately, is just kind of trying to find that line of caring but not caring too much, and making myself angry or something like that. So honestly, I think that the playoff situation is really cool. I think that all other sports have playoffs, and I'm excited that disc golf has added that element into the sport. But for me right now, I think my happiness is more important, so I'm trying not to put too much pressure on what place I get or anything like that, and just enjoy my favorite course out here at Maple Hill. And I'm excited to play with KONA. It's been a while to play with KONA. So I'm just excited to get the tournament underway and just start throwing some discs on my favorite course.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And then just one last question. You touched on the really fun and fantastic nightlife here. We know that there's going to be some ping pong going down. Who's going to come out on top?
Yeah, Maple Hill ping pong is definitely the place to be, up in the ping pong room. You can open the barn doors and get the fresh air in, and there's like a little punching bag up there, and there's like an auxiliary cord you can put in your own music, and we're always up there every night, except for last night. We had a pretty intense poker match, but yeah, ping pong's awesome, and we always play doubles, and it's just fun. You're running around the ping pong room, and it's just good times.
Can you tell us who your partner is?
I like to team up with James. He's always teaching me some. I'm really good at this shot here. Backhand, I guess, but sidearm, not so great on the ping pong table, and James teaches me every time we play a little bit, so I like playing with Jamesy. And yeah, honestly don't have a preference. It's just whoever's got the energy that matches mine and is ready to get hype. So probably Kevin Jones.
Paige, it sounds like in the course of the grind of a long touring season, this stop comes along at the perfect time. It's like a breath of fresh air. You've been touring a very long time. Can you speak to what has changed and what remains the same when it comes to the challenges, the grind, the complications of a life on the road? Are there things now that are easier than there used to be? Are there things now that are harder than they used to be?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think there's definitely, life in general. Everything's about perspective, right? You can find the good or the bad in anything. Like, you can literally think about something that makes you mad right now, and I could make myself angry. You know, I can make myself happy. So it's kind of just the way that you look at it. I think, you know, for the betterment of our sport and making it more professional, I would like to see Worlds being the final event of the year instead of in the middle of the year. I don't think, you know, for example, now like KRISTIN wins Worlds, right? I don't want to watch her play some tournament in Pittsburgh that nobody cares about. I want that to be like, wow, KRISTIN won by a lot. Now we're at the end of the season. We know what we need to do to try to get up to her play to go into the next year. So I think that that's the biggest thing that I would say I would want to change. And Ricky talked about like it being like not just the World Championship being the biggest event and just like making like the player of the year the biggest thing, because then it shows like who played the best the whole year round, or to go back to Worlds being like 7, 8, 9 rounds, because I mean this event is 4 rounds and Worlds is only 5, so it's not that much different of an event. It's just the title associated with it. So I think that those things maybe would be the biggest thing that I would want to change. But yeah, other than that, I mean I'm just happy where disc golf's at. I mean we're sitting here selling tickets to people like that now call themselves 8 holes, and you know, like this, just the rise in disc golf is just incredible. So it's like hard to complain or to say what we want to happen in the future, where like we should just be happy where we are now.
Bringing the focus now back to this week's MVP Open. Over the course of the season, you finished outside the top 10 just twice on tour, but one of those was last week. In short, what went wrong? What adjustments have you made? What are you looking at to do this week on the course?
You know, I kind of already talked about that, just in like I'm lacking the killer instinct right now. I just don't, and I don't care to get it back for some reason. Like I don't actually care that I got whatever place I got. I just want to throw good shots, and when I don't, I'm upset, but I'm not. There's no more like of me punching my hand. There's no, and it feels good. It feels damn good to just be like, no, there's no stress in my life, and it's just so great. I think the biggest stress is like when people are like, what's wrong? What's wrong? It's like, nothing's wrong, actually. Everything's great. But I think like physically, like what I've been lacking is circle 2 putts. I'm usually so good at those, and I make a lot of them. Like I think back to Champions Cup, and you know, I think I made like 10, maybe 12 circle 2 putts, and I didn't make one at Worlds or at the last event at GMC. So I think that's where scoring wise I've been falling back a little bit. And it's funny because like I know that, and I'm thinking about that in my head, and then somehow my upshots keep landing in circle 2. It's like I'm manifesting it to happen almost.
Real words from Paige Pierce. Thank you for that, Paige. Here is Brian Earhart.
I got one question for you, Paige. I was told earlier last week that you were going to see Billy Strings and Willie Nelson in concert, and you're driving 4.5 hours out of the way to Connecticut to go see the concert. Did you end up going? And if you did, how was it?
Oh, it was amazing, amazing, and so many disc golfers there actually. So it's really cool to blend the worlds, and yeah, like you know, you're sitting there jumping up and down, having the time of your life, dancing to your favorite band, and then you hear Paige Pierce, and it's just like, why are you yelling my name? Like, look at him, you know. And I don't know, it's great. It's always great. And we all rode together in James's van, and at the end of the show, we're walking back to the van, and some people had brought a portable basket and set it up right outside the van. So we played a little game of horse, and yeah, it was fun. Good times, always.
Fantastic. Well, good luck this week, Paige.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to throw it to a quick break. We'll be back in just a few.
And we are back here, joined by Chris Dickerson at lovely Maple Hill. Chris, how does it feel to be back at this course?
Feels good.
And I'm going to jump right into it. Excellent play last weekend. I mean, seriously, the kind of show that the viewers are all just as in that round with you. Can we go right into what was going through the brain in those final 6 holes and how that final stretch really felt? I mean, it was amazing to watch.
Thank you. Yeah, going into the last few holes, let's see, we'll start on, I think it was 14. I slipped, threw a shot out of bounds, and about that point, I said to myself, you know, it's probably a little out of reach. But then 15, 16, or no, I think it was 13 that happened. Got a few birdies in a row. Doesn't matter what hole it was. But got myself back into it. And whenever he took a bogey on 16 and I parred it to tie it up, that's when I kind of realized, like, there's a chance here. There's a good chance.
And feeling that, I know hole 18 was a little bit stressful, may not have gone the way that you wanted, but right before that tee off, knowing that there was a chance, do you feel like there was too much self-pressure put on at that point, or just the way the disc flies sometimes?
No, that's just the way it happens sometimes. Walking up to the tee, I told Brittany, what I need to do here is I need to either put it inbounds or I need to miss out of bounds left. I can't miss right. I did the one thing I said I couldn't do. So that's how it happens sometimes.
And that, I feel like that actually paints a really clear picture of just how hard those types of pressure moments can be when you're fighting for such an elite title. Mm-hmm. But going into this weekend and knowing you found that grit, dug deep, got those birdies, and put yourself in position, is the confidence level pretty high?
I would say so, yeah. Finally, I've been in a little bit of a slump. I got back into, playing good last week, so hopefully I can continue that into this course. And basically, yeah, where I want to play disc golf is right in the competition. Like, I want to be up there at the top competing. So that's where I want to be, and that's why I was so happy with last weekend.
Absolutely. It was a great finish, and good luck this weekend. Here's Grant.
Hi, Chris. I asked you a similar question to this back at Worlds, talking about the fact you were able to take that little break in the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. Well, now another month has passed. We've come to nearing the very end of a very long, grueling season. Are any benefits that you might have gotten rest-wise or otherwise from that break, are they gone now? And at this point, is it all about mental and physical endurance?
It's about endurance, but how I've played, I basically took a second break. Like I said, I wasn't very relevant at a few tournaments, and then I came back, I finished second last week. So it's almost like I restarted that break you mentioned.
Does that speak to the need for a lot of consistency throughout the course of the season when you're going to play at the level that you play?
Yeah, you need to be consistent, especially with as many people that are able to compete for the win week in and week out.
Hitting tight lines with, in particular, a powerful backhand is a hallmark of your game. So looking at this course here at Maple Hill, are there particular holes that are favorites of yours?
I do prefer the early holes on the back, or the front 9. Hole 2 has always been a favorite of mine. Hole 4, downhill putter shot. Anytime that I can throw a putter off the tee, I'm enjoying it. There's a few more on the back 9, but those are the 2 that kind of stick out to me.
I've asked a couple of other players this, so I'll ask you as well since you've been in the hunt. Do you have any sense of what kind of scores you need to shoot during a given round, or what kind of score it's going to take at the end of 4 days, not just 3 but 4 here this year at Maple Hill, in order to be in contention? Do you even think about those kinds of numbers as you play and prepare?
Not really. Just because the first year that I ever played here, the year before that, I think 3 6-unders, or maybe it was 3 8-unders, won. I came up here and I shot that, and I was in not even close. So I don't have a score in mind that I need to shoot for every round, because people can come out here and kill it. We can all have like an off week, or the weather could play a big part into it. So. Not me. I have no idea.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Here's Brian.
How's it going, Chris?
Good. How about you?
Pretty good. Couple questions for you.
Okay.
It's hard to believe almost. It feels like you've been throwing Discraft forever at this point, but it's only been the first year on this contract that you signed with them. Mm-hmm. A lot has happened since you signed that contract. This is the first time you're seeing Maple Hill throwing Discraft.
Yep.
Do you feel like as you step up to these tee pads that you have more options available or less options compared to when you were with your previous company?
I feel like I have more options. Specifically, I'm throwing the Undertaker a lot out here, and not only is it one of my favorite discs, I feel like that is a slot that I really didn't have. So getting to throw it a lot out here and you know, making it work throughout the fairways, it's a good feeling.
I want to dive into a hole more specifically, maybe with your current tool set. I want to hear your philosophy on the hole. Hole number 3, long flex shot up the hill, par 3, one of the iconic holes in the course. It's played a lot of different ways with the backhand. Some players like that powerful, hard flex line. Some players throw something more subtle. How do you like to play it, and how do you feel like the hole should be played?
I think best case scenario on how it should be played is something that's going to hyzer flip just a little bit and turn, and you'll get the fade at the end just because there's a tree you need to beat a little further down the fairway on the right. Now, the way I play the hole, I throw an Athena that's beat up a little bit on a slight anhyzer, where it's not super overstable, but it's still got some stability. It'll give it a little bit of time to go straighter before it starts to hook up, so I don't have to put as much anhyzer on it.
So you don't see the hole as necessarily a full S shape, as more of a shot that goes forward and then late kind of drifts at the end?
Yeah, more so that.
Would you say that's one of your favorite tee shots on the course?
Not for me.
Be honest, yeah.
Yeah, not for me. It's a stressful tee shot because that is kind of an island. If you do hit early, there's a chance you can go out of bounds if you hit on the right side.
Well, fantastic, Chris, and good luck this week. And with that said, we are going to send it to a quick break. We will be back in just a few.
Thank you.
And rejoining us now, we have KRISTIN Tattar. KRISTIN, welcome to Maple Hill. How are you today?
I'm very good. Happy to be here. It's been a long time.
Yeah, actually, since 2019, I believe, and that was your only tournament experience that you've ever had here. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. Yeah.
And we're going to get into that in just a moment. I want to say, again, another congratulations on last weekend's amazing performance. And a couple of things I want to highlight. I've had a chance to talk to you now. This will be the 7th interview in just 7 days. That shows extremely amazing play. It also shows you're in, position for the first place podium spot very regularly, clearly on top in commanding fashion. How does it feel to be going into the last playoff event on top?
To be honest, I take it the same way. I don't feel any different. It would be the same way as I go into position like 4 or 5 or 10th. I don't know. I'll take it the same way. Just excited to be here. I think it's a wonderful course here. Yeah, just playing disc golf.
So in 2019, you shot 7 down on your tournament, and we saw last year just a couple of strokes. KATRINA Allen took it with just a few under par. Birdies are hard to get out here. Would you agree?
Yes, but actually this course seemed a little bit easier now that I've come here 3 years later. I think my skill set wasn't quite the same as it is today. But I also see on this course there's a lot of trouble. So if you are slightly off, you can find a lot of OBs, and the scores can vary a lot. Yeah, but it's interesting, challenging course. We'll see how it goes.
And thank you for sharing that it feels a little bit maybe easier, or that your skill set has grown so much. We've heard a lot of players talk today about how challenging and how tricky this course is. So can you talk about how aggressive you might be in your attack plan for the tournament?
I feel like more aggressive than I was 3 years ago because I remember on some of these holes, well, a couple of them have changed, but for example, the first hole, I didn't even think about going for a birdie. But when I played these training grounds, I said, okay, if I'm in position, I'm very comfortable to attack the basket. I'm not going to lay up for sure. So I'm going to leave this open. If I feel like it, I'm going to go for the basket if I'm in a good position. And I think a couple more holes, like the last hole, and yeah, I feel like a lot has changed over 3 years.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Well, before I pass it over to Grant, we've talked to a few other players about how we are in the mecca off of the course of games and competition. Is there other sports that KRISTIN Tattar just totally dominates on top? What other sports are you playing?
Well, here I haven't had much time besides like playing disc golf. So my main focus is over there, but I'm always up to do whatever, like I'm not dominating anything, to be honest. Maybe Uno cards sometimes, but yeah, fun games and sports. It's always been my thing, so I'm open to anything.
And be sure to get one of those ping pong rounds just across here from the SAP house. Here's Grant.
Wild card, draw 4. KRISTIN, it seems like you've been asked just about everything over the course of this season, so I'll try to change it up just a little bit. When you're in the heat of competition on the disc golf course, some players say they're playing the course, just trying to play them against the challenge on the ground. Other players say, no, it's me against the other players. I'm watching what they do, and I'm strategizing based on trying to beat them. Which category do you fall in?
I feel like comparison is a thief of joy, you know. I have my own game plan. So I try to follow my game plan, do what is comfortable for me, and if other players beat me by doing their best, I'm okay with that. So yeah, I'm not necessarily playing against other players. I just do my thing, yeah.
Okay, fun question now. We mentioned that it's been a few years since you've been back. You've spent a lot of time in the United States over the course of this season. Now that you've been in the States for a while, what's a quirk about America or Americans that you still can't get used to? Is it how much ice we put on our drinks, or is it something else? What's a quirk that you just can't get used to?
I think these little openings in toilets. I don't understand them. You know, when you go to a toilet and then you close the door, but there's still like this big gap. I don't understand what is this thing. I've never seen it anywhere in the world. It's only American thing. So it's like you go into the bathroom and you can still see if there's a person inside there. It doesn't, I can't wrap my head around it.
I have nothing to do with that, yet I feel compelled to apologize.
It's only in America. I've never seen it anywhere, honestly.
Well, again, I'm very, very sorry. and I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Brian before I say something else I'll regret.
How's it going, KRISTIN? Hello there. A couple questions for you. More specific questions to how you attack this course specifically. I want to dig into a couple of really interesting holes that we really don't see elsewhere on the tour. If you can recall hole number 9, straight up the hill and then back down the hill to the island green. Are you playing that hole for a birdie? Are you getting aggressive on it? How do you see that tee shot?
Yes, it's a very fun hole, I feel like. Yes, of course I try to play it for a birdie. I think it's not very long hole, but it's quite technical. You have to be in position. I just try to go with the forehand off the tee, hoping it will stay in a good place. And so far during practice rounds, I've gotten quite close. So yeah, I'm playing it for a birdie.
Have you tried any sort of aggressive line with a backhand trying to get it to the green just for fun, or is it just working on the game plan?
Just working on the game plan. Haven't tried any backhands. Don't want to go crazy over there. Trying to stay within my game and what feels comfortable for me. And I think right now forehands have been working pretty well. So yeah, I'll stick with that.
And then one last hole that I want to ask about. Every player seems to have a different strategy on this hole. Hole number 18. You put your tee shot out in the middle of the fairway. Is there any point where you're not going for the green in 2?
If I stay extremely short, then I probably won't. But I think this one also has changed. At least it's different than it was 3 years ago. So right now I've been in position to play it for birdie, and hopefully it will be like this in tournament as well.
So a pretty automatic decision to go for the green?
I think so.
Great. Well, good luck this week. And with that said, we're going to throw it to another break, and we will be back in just a few.
Thank you.
And we're back here on the Disc Golf Network, joined by Isaac Robinson. Isaac, it's your first time at Maple Hill. How do you feel?
Pretty good. Yeah, Green Mountain was a good warm-up for the woods. So, yeah, feeling good.
Congratulations last weekend. That was an incredible tie for second place that you found yourself in. And this is your breakout season. In general, let's talk about what the 2022 season has felt like for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible. Dream come true in many ways. I've surpassed what I thought I could do on the first year especially. So it's been just, I don't know, unbelievable.
And right now, you're currently sitting in 16th in the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings. How important is it to you to maintain or even move up for the finals?
Yeah, very important. Going into the DGPT playoffs where there's more points available, I was really counting the points, especially at Green Mountain. Yeah, every point matters at this point in the season, and so I'm trying to stay in the top 16, move up if I can for sure.
And then with this being your first time here, how many practice rounds were you able to get in?
Yeah, so I got here Tuesday or Monday night. So I was able to get most of a practice round in yesterday before the rain came, and then one full round today. So feeling confident, feeling good. There's some holes that I still don't know what to do, but I'll figure it out when the time comes.
I mean, you're the very first person we've interviewed today where this is your first touring event here at Maple Hill. So quite a bit of pressure. Have you done other versions of studying or practicing kind of mental golf for this event?
Yeah, just talking with the guys I'm staying with, going shot by shot over the holes, and then watching coverage from previous years and kind of seeing how the leaders have played this course in the past.
And is that kind of a regular, I guess, study, if you will, with all these events being back-to-back at the finale and close out of the season?
Yeah, I try to watch coverage before, since this is my first time, before each course, and just seeing what people throw, see the lines, see the shots.
Well, best of luck to you this weekend, and here's PDGA's Grant.
Hey, Isaac, several podiums on tour this year, including second place last week in Vermont. As Zoe mentioned, people are getting to know Isaac Robinson. Since it's so early in their introduction to you, what would you like them to know about you and about your game?
Yeah, well, if you haven't noticed, I'm predominantly backhand. So that's my preferred style of play. Play pretty quick, try not to let the pressure get to me. Yeah, and just try to make the holes as simple as possible. That's my game plan.
You've been a pro since 2016, is that correct? 2016
yes.
or 17?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even though you haven't been a touring professional, you've played in a lot of events around, including some big events like Ledgestone. You have a top 10 at USDGC from last year. As you now settle into being a touring pro, what aspects of being on tour are just as you imagined, and what aspects of being on tour are completely different than you thought they would be?
Yeah, being on tour, there's, like I said, there's a couple different things. Just the constant driving, and it just feels like it's never stopping. You don't really have a time to recover, it feels like. From one tournament you drive to the next, then you play practice rounds, then you play the event. And I didn't expect it to feel so rushed, where I'm just playing disc golf 24/7. But it's also been nice to the friendships I've made, the people I've met. It's been something I've really enjoyed.
When it comes to planning and the logistics of being on the road, like you just mentioned, what changes have you already decided to make for next year based on your experience from this year?
I'm going to upgrade my van a little bit, get some solar panels. I don't have any AC or any so in the summer it's kind of hot. So there's a couple things I want to fix with the van, but that's the main thing.
Well, high temperatures this week look like they'll be in the low 70s. It'll be a lot cooler at night.
Absolutely.
So I wish you the best this week. Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you.
Here's Brian.
Hello, Isaac.
Hey, Brian.
A couple of questions for you. First one, a lot of people all over the internet right now are talking about your putting stroke right now. You've been hot, obviously, on the putting green, and it looks effortless right now. How do you generate power on your putt? Have you thought about this consciously, or has it been a putting stroke that you've just grooved over the years through practice?
Yeah, I wish that I knew how it worked well. It's just something I've been practicing for the past 12 years of my life, and so it's been feels like perfected over a long period of time. But yeah, I'll have to have Gannon break that down for me.
Well, if we go back to the practice side of things, obviously you grooved that stroke not overnight, but through lots and lots of hours in the backyard putting.
Absolutely.
Probably with your brother Ezra as
Definitely.
well. Talk about when you were at your peak practicing your putt. Just to give context to the viewers, how long were you practicing? How many putts do you think you were throwing per day?
Yeah. So back in college, I was out there practicing probably about an hour every day. Throwing hundreds of putts within that hour, just from about 25 most of the time. So 20 to 25 would be the main distance that I practice. And then as I was winding down my practice time, throw some longer distance putts.
So just 20, 25 footers?
Yep.
Seemingly endless putting range from you this season. It's been ridiculous. I actually want to zoom in on a specific moment. Hole number 1, final round at GMC. you watch Ricky Wysocki hit about a 70-foot throw-in putt, and then you step up and do the exact same thing. What are you thinking in that moment? Are you thinking about Ricky's putt at all when you chose to run that?
No, there was zero pressure on that putt because I knew if I missed it, people would, it was an 80-foot or 70-footer in the rain, so there was no pressure whatsoever. But yeah, I was just, throwing it up there, seeing what happened.
Do you feel any pressure this season at all?
Not really. After Idlewild, I took kind of a nosedive. Didn't play events very well. I was placing, mid-30s, it felt like. But now I'm kind of putting a little bit more, trying to get back into it. So yeah, no pressure. I think next year will be different.
Yeah. And then with that said, going into the off season, we only have a few events left. What is this winter going to look like? You don't have to write papers anymore. You don't have to do homework.
Yeah, a lot of practice. I'm going to be, the winters in Georgia aren't too bad, so I'm going to be out there in the field practicing. I got some form issues I want to tweak out and kind of fix that, and then just continue my putting.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have to be updated by you on your form tweaks over the off season. That'll be exciting to keep up with. But with that said, we have a couple more people left, so we're going to throw it to a quick break. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
We are back on the Disc Golf Network, joined by HENNA BLOMROOS. HENNA, how are you today?
I'm feeling good, thank you.
And welcome to Maple Hill. This is also your first time here?
Yes, thank you.
And so let's start it off with just what's your general feeling about the course so far?
I like it. There is so many tight wooded holes. I love them all, but those water holes, they are so pretty. I like them all.
Is this kind of reminding you of courses back home?
Kind of, but yeah, they are not exactly the same, but yeah, kind of.
Do you find Maple Hill challenging, more difficult than your general courses on tour?
Yeah, I think so. There is much more technical shots, so I think so. They are not too long, but more technical.
Well, I want to take a second. This is where I meant to start, and congratulate you on second place last weekend. That's an incredible feat at the Green Mountain Championships, and with the competition being so tough this year, second place is great, and it boosted your Disc Golf Pro Tour standings. You're going for the Tour Championship spot. How important is it to you to perform well this weekend and find yourself on the podium?
I always try to play best disc golf, and I think it's important to play good before that most important tournament on this end of the season. So I think so. It's important, yeah.
And do you and Evelina have travel plans to stay for the Tour Championships?
Yes.
So that's already in the works. Knowing that the plans are there, maybe a little pressure taken off. You're already here. Might as well play good to make the event.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about. I saw you out there practicing with Paige Pierce today, and I want to mention last weekend we're halfway through the final round, and we see Paige Pierce come and caddy your bag. Was that planned?
No, it wasn't planned.
Well, how did that feel to see the 5-time world champ just grab your bag and you didn't even expect it?
Yeah, it felt good. It was a really good surprise. So yeah, it was amazing.
Do you and Paige have a friendship outside of playing disc golf?
Yes, we have. We have always so fun together.
So, seeing you out on the course today, was Paige helpful in helping learn some of the aspects of Maple Hill?
Yeah, I asked a couple of times what you are throwing on this hole, and I think it helped me. Yeah.
It's very cool to see the camaraderie among our FPO division. We wish you the best of luck this weekend, Henna, and here's Grant.
Thank you.
Henna, you're very close to breaking through with a tour victory of your own. What are the last things in your game that need to fall into place in order for you to win a championship?
Putting. Yeah, putting.
You've played a lot in the States this year. You've lived a lot on the road with different people, traveling with Jennifer Allen and others. What have been some of your highlights of your time in the United States this year, both on and off the course?
That's a hard one because we are never port, so I don't know. I still think that Champions Cup week was most funny week because we had so big game room on downstairs in our Airbnb, so it was so much fun to play billiard and ping pong and everything. So I would say that, and on the course I think that World Championships was most fun week and I played good. So yeah.
Have you gotten to be a tourist in the United States and see anything historic or interesting while on the road?
Yeah, a little bit. A couple of weeks ago we went to Niagara Falls and that was cool, yeah.
I might regret this, but I asked KRISTIN Tattar the same question, so I'll ask you. What's the weirdest thing about America? What's something that you just can't get used to that we do here in the United States?
Oh, there is many things, but right now it's hard to say and find one, but wow. That's a hard one, but there is so many things, yeah. Hard to say one.
How about ice in the drinks? Too much ice in the drinks?
Yeah, a lot. In Europe, we don't have that much ice on the drink, and at least we don't have refills, so I like that one.
So the weird thing works for you?
Yeah.
Free refills?
Yeah.
Welcome to America.
Hi, Henna.
Hi.
A couple of questions for you. During the season, do you get to practice certain parts of your game? Do you actually get to work on new shots, or is it just a lot of traveling?
Oh, it's mostly traveling, but I think I can get time for putting if I really want to, so I do that a lot.
You're known as one of the best throwers in the division off the tee. You have fantastic distance, shot shaping. It sounds like the only thing that you're really working on in the practice field is putting. Are you doing any sort of field practice with your throw, or do you feel pretty comfortable with it right now?
Yeah, right now I don't practice throwing far or distance drives or anything that much, and I'm trying to focus on putting, so yeah.
And when you focus on putting, what exactly are you doing? Are you just going to the basket and just throwing putt after putt after putt, or do you have a specific thing you try to work on?
It depends. Normally I just go to the basket and try to make those easy putts what I need on competition, so yeah.
And then after this season, are you going back to Finland?
Yes.
And then in Finland, I know there's a lot of different places to throw inside, and there's a lot of different places to train. Are you going there to train to specifically come back to the United States all year? Do you know what your plans are for 2023?
Sorry, I didn't hear that because there was... Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. A little bit of sound in the background. When you go back to Finland after this season, are you going to train specifically because you know you're going to come back for a full season next year?
Yes, I'm going to practice in indoor, and I think I'm doing the same thing than this year, and yeah.
What score total do you think is going to win this tournament?
Well, that's a hard one because I have never played here before, and I have never played even score round, but I would say it can be maybe 10 or 12 under par.
Okay, fantastic. Well, good luck this week. And with that, we have one more person left. We'll throw it to another break, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you.
And we are back with our final interview for today's press conference. Tour Director Jeff Spring. Jeff, how does it feel to be back at Maple Hill?
I just rolled in, so I haven't even processed it. But I'm assuming that once I do, it's going to feel great. Yeah, it's a beautiful fall day. It's a little later in the season than we've been at Maple before, at least recently. And as the final event of the DGPT playoffs, I expect to see some Vermont-esque foliage start to turn. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm actually just going to tailor off talking about Vermont. We had the Green Mountain Championships last weekend, the first ever DGPT playoff event. How do you feel coming out of that and the experience? Do you like the way that the format started off?
Yeah, I feel great. It was a really smooth, successful event in Vermont. One of the best crowds we've had in a while since the Worlds in 2018. It's a great harbinger for 2023. And I think the format is good. There are certainly great parts to it and areas where we want to adjust and tweak and make better for next year. But it's the first year. It's a pilot program for the playoffs, basically. And, we try to, continue to improve. So we're going to, learn any lessons and make it better for next year.
And we started this press conference talking to Steve Dodge and how this property, this course, was the inaugural kickoff to the first Pro Tour. At that time, you were interested, you were running events, you were a fan. Did you ever see yourself in this position?
When the first event happened here, we were actually the last event of the season in Vermont. So we were the first Tour Championship. And I think at that point, yeah. But the first time I came to Maple Hill was probably 2009, 2010 for the Vibram Open. And I remember, I think Barry Schultz might have actually won or was close one of the years. And I remember thinking, wow, that's a legend of the game, because I had just kind of gotten into it around that time and saw some of the pie eating contests and festivities and was super inspired and built the Smuggler's Notch Disc Golf Center, especially Brewster, around like some of the the wooded elements that I saw here, and kind of said, hey, what can we do that's going to be really fun for people, that Smugs can bring into play. Here it was pie eating, ping pong, accuracy, distance, putting contests, and we developed Fall Fest as and poker night and that kind of stuff in the same vein. So I think it was a little earlier, but certainly inspired by what we saw here, what I saw here, and is a great launching pad for the Green Mountain Championship coming down here to promote it in its first year.
And thank you for sharing about that. Educating the public on kind of the roots of the Disc Golf Pro Tour is super important, especially as we're entering into this final playoff event and getting to the Tour Championships. Jeff, everybody knows it, everybody says it, the weight of the world is on your shoulders constantly. When you're looking at the players, your own staff, the viewers, how do you balance every single aspect of the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
Well, we have a great team, so I'm just one part of the wheel that helps us roll, and hopefully mostly successfully. Like I said, we try to learn from any mistakes that we have, and just like anybody, the tour learns from things that could go better, and hopefully we have a lot of success too. But our media team is run by Mahmoud Barani, on the ground, Sam Gaddis, and they have so many great folks that work for them. That make everything really smooth, communications, marketing, operations, like all led by great team members. So, I think that weight is spread pretty nicely. It is chaotic and challenging, and there's a lot of irons in the fire, but, we do it as a team.
Well, before I pass it off to Grant, I want to point out one comment from Steve Dodge. We asked him about his vision and about the inaugural Pro Tour, and he said it was his ultimate dream to be sitting on a beach and to be able to watch live disc golf someday. Can you speak to some of the dreams that have come true for you already in this adventure?
Well, I feel like we're just striving for improvement right now. I think in the off seasons we reflect on what's happened so far. But certainly, striving to, kind of transcend some of the goals that we've already hit. I think that the growth of disc golf, seeing more courses being put in and seeing more players enjoy the game is my dream. I think the idea that disc golf is good for the human body and soul is what inspires me. I've had a background in environmental education, so I've seen firsthand what teaching a new sport, learning a new sport can do for someone, and even teaching for the teacher is beneficial. And then immersion in nature, a lot of benefits from that. And so I think my dream is rooted in kind of the positive nature that disc golf can have on individuals, and from the Pro Tour side, broadcasting disc golf and the high end, the incredible feats that our pro athletes can achieve, and the excitement that you can have in a competition is inspirational to new players and fans. And what I've, I guess, liked the most is that now I hear that fans that don't play disc golf are like watching, and that makes me think that there's people that are now playing and getting outside and having some connectivity to the outside world that they might not without the game.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jeff. Here's Grant.
Hey, Jeff, one broad question to get things started. As you are closing in now on the end of a very successful 2022 season, you will, as all good business people do, analyze the way the year has gone. When you look back at all of these events dating back to February, what stands out to you as some of the highlights of the year?
Yeah, I think there's two big highlights, and we're already deep in 2023, so it's kind of already happening. But I would say, number one, we've made a concerted effort to invest in and brought in the team and the disc golf network, whether it's equipment or people, infrastructure, and I think that that's paid off. Hopefully our subscribers feel like we're getting a little bit better throughout the year and taking some steps forward. That's our goal, and we've really focused on that. So I would say that's number one. And number two, getting over to Europe. That was a bigger challenge than maybe it seemed just watching from afar, watching the streams early in the mornings on the European time. But we saw a huge reaction from the European disc golf market that is still with us. Like our percentages of viewers from Europe, our demographics have changed, not just in that moment of watching European Open and PCS Sula Open, but it seems permanently, and that's exciting. And that was like our big effort of the year, splitting our team. The team that stayed here to oversee our operation in the U.S. Was working just as hard as the team that went over to Europe. And we kind of put a lot of effort into that we all feel good about and paid off. We're excited to go back to Europe next year. In the future, we have more goals, and I could talk about other things as well, whether it's like on-site spectating growth, player purses, player amenities, tour cards. But those two stand out the most for me.
This might be an opportunity for you to give just one brief example. You've made a concerted effort to listen to your audiences for feedback, both your player audience, those that are producing the product, but also the audience that is consuming and watching and spectating. Can you give us an example of a time when you listened to feedback and were able this year to respond to that feedback?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's hundreds of examples probably, but on the viewer side, I think that we hear often that they want to see more golf, and we were able to do that with our feature card broadcast at the Worlds, and we're going to do that again at the USCGC. And thanks for your help. You were the voice of the second stream there, but just it gives a little depth and breadth to the broadcast. Our live main feature is able to pull from it. We're able to show the island, hole 16, and a lot of players coming through, capturing great shots, even an ace on that, and integrating that into the broadcast. So that's really derived from, we have a lot of cameras out there, but we hear, hey, can you get some fixed cams? Can you get exciting holes? Can we see deeper into the field? So we made that adjustment. In terms of the players, the entire effort that we've made for on-site amenities and the tour card benefits, was based on that. Like really formalizing practice areas, making sure that Seth Munsey, Disc Golf Strong, like warm-up, cool-down areas are available. Increasing, just the amenities in terms of parking and hospitality that the players see. And then when, something's not going right, listening and making sure it does for the rest of the tournament or the next one.
Great examples, Jeff. Thanks very much for your candid comments.
Yeah,
Here's Brian.
All right.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. I'm good. A couple questions for you. Earlier in the year, I asked you a question about some hurdles that you have to address, some things that as disc golf grows and as more people become aware of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, what challenges are you going to have to address? And your original comment, I believe this was at Waco, was spectator management. and managing the hordes of people that you've gotten to come to these tournaments. What have you learned throughout the course of this season now that we sit here towards the end? What have you learned, and also what do you think you've done well in regards to spectator management?
You know, we've taken a holistic approach to the event site throughout the year, and I think we've learned like where are the most where are the softest areas on those event boundaries. We really work to establish event site boundaries, you know, where people come and go, not just for clarity for spectators, but for safety for on-site, you know, players. You know, I think that we've also learned that, you know, a rope saves, you know, maybe says 1,000 words and saves 100 people. You know, it's really a good example of, you know, hey, you know, I don't need a body here to tell me no. In fact, a rope is more effective. So, you know, we've gone from, I think, 3,000 feet of rope to maybe over 20,000 feet of rope in our trailer. And, you know, I think that thoughtful approach to roping courses for spectators is what we've improved on. For instance, last event, we had crowd control in front and behind a lead card, in front and behind of the chase card. You know, that's where most of the crowd congregates, and we were clearing, you know, the front of greens on our comms, for instance. And we had one of the crowd control staff members that works for us up in front, clear the green on 14. And from a GA area, somebody comes down and is watching on 14, decides to put their umbrella down. Mm-hmm. And I think if you were watching the stream or if you're aware, you know, Ricky's disc hit the umbrella. You know, a rope there, I think, would have maybe stopped that person, you know, where we wanted them to stop. Even though we have people there and cleared the green, comms were clear, you know, and we said go ahead and throw. It just takes, you know, one person, you know, maybe with an ill-advised decision to interfere with play. And, you know, it won't be the last time. You know, I think that there's plenty of sports where there's that possibility, and, you know, we can't, you know, make this a zero-sum game. But, you know, that's just a good example of like, you know, hey, you know, if we can get out on the courses early, you know, really set a great rope line on every hole, then you can sleep a little bit better at night. Sorry to be long-winded on that one.
That's okay. And you know, Jeff, I have one last question. I know it's been a fantastic interview that you've given. Very serious question. Do you eat sushi?
Yeah, I enjoy sushi from time to time. I'm not like an aficionado or anything, but...
Well, with that said, does cream cheese belong on sushi?
Oh, man. For some people it does. I'm okay with it, but I think... I think I prefer no cream cheese. So I feel like you're going. I feel like your opinion is no.
It was just a very CEO answer.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff, and that's it for us.
Thanks.